In 2054 on planet Niflheim, Mickey wakes up covered in frost inside a deep crevasse. At that moment he sees a ship and calls for his friend Timo, who is surprised to see Mickey alive. However, when Timo comes out, he only grabs Mickey's flamethrower and says it's not worth saving Mickey too since he'll die soon anyway. This Mickey is a clone, the 17th to be exact. Every time he dies, the company he works for just prints another body. His memories are uploaded to a computer every week and injected into the new body when it's printed, that way he doesn't have gaps in his memory. It's become such a normal part of the science department's routine that they barely pay attention to Mickey during the process. While printing Mickey 17, a hose fell from the printer and affected the process before the scientist reconnected it. Cloning is banned on Earth and only allowed in space to be done on people known as expendables. Mickey is an expendable, which means he's sent to do dangerous things without caring about the risk because they can just make another one. One day, they sent him outside the spaceship to do some repairs, but Mickey soon realized they were lying. The machine was fine, they actually wanted him to be exposed to radiation and share everything he felt while he slowly died. Suddenly a tool fell and cut his hand off, which the scientists found cool. The next Mickey they printed had only 15 minutes to live, so the scientists concentrated on taking samples, which Dr. Dorothy called special. This started 4 years ago on Earth. Mickey was best friends with Timo, who convinced him to get a loan from some shady people to open a macaron store. The business didn't do well and soon dangerous men were going after the duo to ask for payment. Timo and Mickey tried to run away, but the men threw special grenades that tased them until they fell unconscious. When they woke up they got to meet mafia boss Darius, who enjoyed cutting his victims' bodies with a chainsaw. The friends understood that if they didn't get the money, they would end up dead as well. That was how they decided to leave Earth. Mickey applied to the colony expedition, however there were millions of people applying as well. The expedition was led by former Congressman Kenneth, who lost his last 2 elections. He had lots of fanatical supporters willing to do anything for him, and that earned him a big sponsorship from a particular religious corporation. It was easy for Timo to get a place in the expedition because somehow he got a learner's permit as a pilot. Mickey had no qualifications whatsoever, so he chose expendable on the application without reading what it was about. A company representative gave Mickey a tour while telling him about expendables. The printer took all organic waste from the spaceship like food leftovers, human waste, and even dead bodies to print the new clones. However, Mickey was incredibly distracted by her charming smell, so he barely heard a word she said. The lady got rid of the zit on his forehead so it wouldn't be there on every copy before sending Mickey into the machine for the initial scan. Then she did a backup of his memories, which were stored in a brick. He was injected with a special solution that stimulated his old memories, causing Mickey to remember his mother's death. During their car ride, little Mickey pressed a red button and the vehicle crashed. Reliving this memory caused him to have a breakdown. The lady brought him a gun and asked him to self-delete as proof of his faith in the system because he needed to get used to dying. Mickey didn't dare to do it, so she pressed the trigger, but nothing happened. Afterward the spaceship took off and Mickey had to get used to the new life among the crew. The food was awful and everyone was strictly rationed. If they tried to take more, an alarm would make them drop it. During the crew's first lunch break, Kenneth showed up with his wife YLFA and assistants sent by the church. It was clear that Kenneth wasn't that smart and he was being used by YLFA and the church as a puppet for their means. Most crew members were big fans and very excited to see him, but a few people stayed calm. That was when Mickey saw security agent Nasha and instantly fell in love with her. Nasha invited him to her table so Mickey joined her. She shared her food with him and they immediately bonded. At the same time Kenneth made a big speech about their mission to arrive on another planet to start their own society. Because rations would be limited until such a colony could be established, Kenneth didn't want them to waste more calories than necessary, so he banned all naughty intercourse. This wasn't well received by people, so he assured them that once they reached a planet, he would launch an intercourse encouragement campaign. His fans saw him as a hero, but Nasha and Mickey didn't care about this rule and started to get dirty in secret. In their free time they would plan their positions and assign them numbers to reenact them later. Crew members always insisted on asking Mickey what dying was like, making him uncomfortable. One day Nasha threatened to shoot them so they could find out. This caused a fight in the cafeteria and security made them all spend the night in a cage. Mickey also got his rations cut by a half. When women like Kai and Jennifer tried to sit near Mickey to befriend him, Nasha would quickly cut in to remind them he was taken. Eventually the ship reached Niflheim and scientists sent Mickey out without a helmet to gather all the virus in the area. Mickey immediately felt sick and died, but his experiment was repeated several times to try to find a vaccine. One time Mickey was still alive inside the body bag and the scientists noticed, but they threw him into the cycler anyway. Thanks to Mickey's 12 to 16, a vaccine was found and humans could visit the planet without needing a mask. Mickey was sent out with the first exploration team and they got inside a freezing cave. Kai noticed a hole in the wall and found some worm-like creatures. One of them tried jumping on her and when she started to run, the little alien grabbed her leg. A team member opened fire and scared all the aliens away. Then the group started to make their way out, but Jennifer froze when she heard a creature above her. She opened fire at it and broke the ice, which crumbled and crushed her to death. Later at the spaceship, Kenneth yells at Mickey for not dying instead of Jennifer since he was made for that. He also saw footage of the creatures and named them creepers. Mickey's rations were halved again and his shift was doubled. They sent him out to get creeper samples and Timo would fly by to drop him food. One afternoon Mickey stepped on some thin ice that broke and caused him to fall into the crevasse. After Timo leaves, a huge creeper finds Mickey and begins dragging him away. All the babies soon surround him and nibble his fingers playfully. The mother creeper drags him out of the crevasse and makes some noises at him that Mickey repeats. He stares at the creatures and concludes clones are so disgusting that not even aliens want to eat them. Then Mickey sees a company truck passing by. He tries yelling for help but they don't hear him, so Mickey runs until he manages to climb on the top of the vehicle. When he returns to the ship, Mickey goes to his room and lays down on his bed, only to discover that Mickey 18 has already been printed and is there too. 17 freaks out because multiples are illegal, and 18 throws a weight at him to knock him out. The issue with multiples started back on Earth when the cloning method was discovered. The ethics committee was worried about the abuse of cloning, especially since a member of the science team named Alan was suspected to be a sociopath. A witness identified him as the man behind all the deaths of homeless men in the city, but Alan had a perfect alibi. Eventually the cops got permission to raid Alan's home and discovered he secretly cloned himself to do the crimes and have an alibi at the same time. While those two Alans were being interrogated, a third Alan was still murdering hobos on the streets. That Alan was caught too and there was a big debate on how to apply the law to that unique situation. The church spoke against multiples, saying the same soul should only have one body. However, the science team thought it'd be a waste not to find applications for this technology. Kenneth joined the debate by explaining he believed printed bodies were a sin, but they could use them for the greater good. That was how he introduced the expendable program, proposing a law that would keep only one expendable per planet and promising to kill every clone if multiples ever happened. In the present, 17 wakes up to discover 18 is moving him inside a cart. He remembers that Nasha told him each Mickey was slightly different, and 18 appears to be more violent. When they make it to the cycler room, 17 tries to attack 18 from behind but 18 sees him and starts beating him up. 17 is pushed against the cycler hole and offers a deal. They could split their shifts and take turns dying. 18 realizes 17 is afraid to die and doesn't understand why since he's already died many times. Although 17 gives a moving speech about them being different, 18 tries to push him in anyway. The moment is interrupted when they hear someone approaching and both Mickeys run to hide. It's Timo, who is secretly selling a recreational chemical known as oxofol to other crew members. After the buyer leaves, 18 comes out and starts beating Timo up for ruining his life with a business idea. He pushes Timo into the cycler but before he can kill him, 17 tackles him. Then 17 tries to save his friend, only for 18 to pull him away. After the clones exchange a few punches, 18 grabs a hot metal rod and gets ready to kill. The moment is interrupted again when Nasha and the head of the security team Zeke enter the room. 18 tells Timo to play along if he doesn't want him to tell everyone about the oxofol business, so the duo pretends Timo accidentally fell and 18 saved him. 17 watches all this from the shadows and gets extremely jealous when he sees Nasha leave with 18 while getting handsy. He tries to follow them, but he's blocked by a church representative who asks him to take a picture with the company mascot. He also announces that Mickey has won a private dinner with Kenneth and Yelfa. As soon as they sit him, Mickey can't stop eating the fantastic food. After Kenneth apologizes for his reaction to Jennifer's death, Kai also joins the dinner. The couple apologizes to her for Jennifer's death and tells her about their future plan. They want the colony to be pure blood only and Kai fits that description, so they want her to make babies. Other colonies use chips in inseminated baby embryos, but they don't approve of that method. Suddenly Mickey throws up all over the floor and the science team immediately rushes into the room. They notice the rash appearing on Mickey's neck and conclude the experimental growth hormone on the meat has caused this. The science team has been developing a special medicine and they inject Mickey with it, but he just stumbles around until he collapses in unbearable pain. Kenneth thinks it'd be more humane to kill him and Yelfa moves her carpet to avoid bloodstains. Kai thinks it's crazy that Mickey is being treated like this, but Kenneth reminds her Mickey is just an experiment. Mickey asks not to be shot because he's feeling better and Kai takes him away. In Kai's room, Mickey notices pictures that reveal Kai and Jennifer used to date. Kai asks Mickey what dying is like since she wants to know what was like for Jennifer. Mickey admits it's scary and he hates it. Then Kai tries to get affectionate with him, but Mickey panics and runs. When he makes it to his room, Nasha immediately recognizes him as 17, implying 18 already told her. She uses her lipstick to draw the numbers on the clone's chest while giggling like crazy. 18 is more friendly too and 17 notices an empty bottle that confirms they took oxofol. An argument ensues between the clones but Nasha stops them, saying that they can share the chores and the food. Then Nasha brings the clones to bed so they can get naughty together. As the trio is starting to have fun, Kai walks into the room and sees everything. Without saying a word, she walks out and Nasha runs after her. The clones watch TV, which is just Kenneth talking to his scientists on a ridiculous talk show. 18 throws his drink at the screen, growing angrier as 17 tells him what happened during dinner. He grabs Nasha's gun and leaves the room, ready to kill Kenneth. Meanwhile, Nasha reaches Kai, who wants to report the multiples because they're illegal. Kai explains she can be silenced if Nasha agrees to give her a Mickey, but Nasha freaks out, saying Mickey isn't a toy to be shared around. Their argument is interrupted when 18 runs by and 17 comes after him, telling the women that 18 has a gun. At the cafeteria, a laser machine is cutting a huge rock in half to reveal the black diamond inside. 18 hides in the crowd and gets ready to shoot, only to be tackled by a Kenneth fan. At that same time, a creeper comes out of the rock and everyone panics. People begin running while Kenneth climbs on a table to shout orders about sterilization and capturing the monster alive. The scientists put on hazmat suits and start running after the creeper to no avail. Kenneth then sees 17 entering the room and tells him to join the chase. When the creeper stops running, 17 tries repeating the sounds he heard the other day, which is noticed by Dorothy. In the meantime, 18 recovers the gun and opens fire, only to get tackled by 17 and Nasha. The bullet scratches Kenneth's cheek and makes a hole in the diamond. When Kenneth tries to complain about multiples, a second creeper comes out and attaches itself to Kenneth's face. Kai and the other guards open fire and shoot the creeper until there's only goo left while the scientists capture the first creature. The baby's cries are heard by the big mother in the crevasse. Minutes later, Nasha and the clones are locked up in the cages. An argument ensues over the creepers and 17 shares what happened in the crevasse, saying the creepers were too disgusted by him. However, Nasha corrects him, saying the creepers actually saved him and saw him off. Suddenly a bag hits the sleeping guard on his head. It turns out to be Timo, who sneaks in without trouble because the guard is his client. Timo shows 17 a letter he found on his door, which reveals that Darius' men have followed them to space. Darius is willing to forget about the money if Timo sends him a video of Mickey being cut into pieces with a chainsaw. While the guard sets up the camera, Timo cries and asks 17 to save him since he's going to die anyway. Since Kai calls Timo out for his dramatics, Timo stops begging and tells the guard to tase 17. 18 tells Timo he should take him instead of 17 because he has a higher pain tolerance, but first he asks for some oxofol. When the guard gets closer to give him his, 18 grabs his wrist and hits his head against the bars. At the same time, Nasha steals his gun and tases Timo down. Then she takes the guard's keys to escape the cell and grab the chainsaw, getting ready to kill Timo. At that moment they're found by Zeke and everyone gets arrested again. While the group is moved through the corridors, 17 realizes Nasha always protected him, like the time she asked for a hazmat suit so she could comfort him through a very toxic experiment. When the group reaches the front windows, they discover that all the creepers are now surrounding the spaceship. The scientists are also moving the crying baby, and when Dorothy sees 17, she copies the sounds he made in the cafeteria, which he repeats. She thinks that it's an actual language and she may develop a translator for it. Everyone is taken to the cycler room, where Yellow cuts the baby's tail off just to make a new sauce. Kenneth uses a burning metal rod to mark 18's cheek so he can differentiate the clones. Then he makes a scientist delete the entire memory backup from the brick. Since he complains about the creepers, Nasha says that the creepers are the native inhabitants and the humans are the aliens, while revealing the creatures saved Mickey. However, Kenneth just laughs as he explains the creepers didn't eat him because he's trash food. Dorothy also speaks up, saying her team is developing a translator. The baby on the table spits at Kenneth, who responds by throwing the hot rod but failing. Kenneth begins yelling about things not making any sense and Nasha yells back, to insult him. A furious Kenneth hangs the baby above the cycler hole and throws the other end of the rope at Nasha, who must catch it with her teeth to save the creature. Zeke tells one of his men to record all this with the hidden camera on his glasses. Kenneth wants all the creepers gassed, but Yellow has a better idea. Explosives are put on the clones' backs and Kenneth gets 2 buttons to detonate them. Yellow wants them to cut off as many creeper tails as they can and the first Mickey to bring back 100 wins. The winner gets to live and the loser will get killed. On their way out, 17 says this is punishment for the car crash. However, 18 says the car has a defect and the button pushing was a coincidence, so they shouldn't blame themselves for their mom's death. Dorothy catches the boys at the entrance and gives them a prototype translator. The duo searches the crowd of creepers until they find the mother, who understands Mickey now. She knows his name and points out she saved him, but humans responded by killing her baby. If the captured creeper dies too, she promises to kill all humans. To prove it, she begins screeching and the babies copy her. The clones cover their ears, but the mama alien explains they can make their eyes and brain explode. On the spaceship, Kenneth and Yellow freak out when they see the clones communicating with the creepers. Suddenly 17 runs toward the cameras and forms C3 with his fingers, which Nasha recognizes as their position called Bring the Baby. Yellow and the church representative think it's nonsense and that the leader Kenneth should be communicating with a new species. While Kenneth gets ready for a big entrance, 17 promises the mother that Nasha will bring the baby. However, the mother creeper thinks it's not enough. Since the humans killed a baby, a person must also die to be even. 3 vehicles led by Kenneth leave the spaceship. Meanwhile, Nasha makes a big jump to capture Yellow with her legs. Zeke takes the rope and Nasha agrees to release Yellow if they let her take the baby to the mother. When Zeke is about to pass her the rope back, Yellow cuts his wrist and makes him drop it, but Nasha catches it just in time. YLFA wants her arrested, however Zeke announces YLFA and Kenneth have been abusive and their case will present it to the committee. Seeing the cars coming, the babies run to cover their mother and form piles all over the place. Now the guards don't know which one to shoot. Kenneth chooses one at random, but at that moment 18 appears before them, so the church representative pushes the soldier to make the rocket explode in the sky, otherwise the clone's bomb would kill them too. Then Kenneth opens fire but only hits the camera, giving 18 the chance to jump on him. While Nasha arrives with the baby, 18 announces he'll kill the human the mother wanted. He hesitates for a second and Kenneth tries to manipulate him with fear of death, but 18 presses the button anyway. The bomb kills him and Kenneth at the same time, so the creepers leave in peace. After it's all over, the whole crew is put in jail. YLFA loses her mind and is sent to a psych ward, where she self-deletes. Timo encounters Darius Man and bites his ear off before throwing him into the cycler, but he gets out on probation under self-defense. The trials for the rest of the crew become a legal and political mess, so after Nasha gets out of jail, she runs for a position on the committee hoping to change the organization. Dorothy finishes the translator and Mickey chats often with the creepers. He discovers that the screeching is just a random noise they make and can't hurt humans. The mother had only been bluffing. 6 months later, Mickey notices someone near the cycler and discovers YLFA printing a new Kenneth. Mickey points out she's supposed to be dead, so YLFA offers her bleeding hand to touch. Unlike the memories about his mother's death, Mickey isn't afraid anymore, and he then wakes up. He's sitting with the crowd listening to Nasha give a speech as the new committee leader. When she announces that the Expendables program is over, Mickey presses a button and destroys the cycler. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.